They called her Whisper, not because she was quiet, or graceful, or anything remotely poetic. They called her Whisper because the first time she keyed her radio in flight school, her voice cracked so badly that her instructor had to ask her to repeat herself 3 times. The nickname stuck the way cruel things always do, wrapped in laughter, landing hard. Maya Chen had worn it like a bruise ever since. She was the smallest pilot in her squadron, the only woman in a unit that still measured worth in decibels and bravado. Every morning she walked into the briefing room and felt the air shift. Chairs would scrape, smirks would pass between men who had never once doubted their right to be there. She had earned her wings the same way they had, through sweat and terror and 10,000 hours of sky. But earning something and being given it are 2 entirely different things. The day it happened was supposed to be routine. A training exercise over the Mojave 2-ship formation, back before sunset. Her wingman was Torres, a decorated veteran who flew like he was born angry at gravity. He had never been openly cruel to Maya, just quietly dismissive, which she had learned was its own kind of cruelty. They lifted off together in the late afternoon gold, and for a few minutes the world made sense the way it only does at altitude, where the noise of other people finally falls away. Then Torres's engine surged. She heard it in her earpiece before she saw it, a sound like the sky clearing its throat. His jet yaw left, hard, and she watched his aircraft begin to shudder with the specific violence of a compressor stall. Her stomach dropped before her training caught it. Whisper, I've got a stall. I'm losing thrust, Torres said. His voice was controlled, but only barely. Below them was nothing but empty desert, which was the only mercy the moment offered. Everyone back at base heard the radio exchange. The operations room had gone still, 20 people standing around screens and speakers, watching the telemetry climb toward disaster. Someone muttered that Torres should punch out, that there was no saving the aircraft. Someone else agreed. The general consensus moved toward ejection the way it always does when people watching from safety make decisions about risk. Maya did not consult the consensus. She pulled up alongside Torres' stricken jet and looked across the thin slice of open air between them. She could see him in the cockpit, helmet forward, hands working the controls. The aircraft was bucking. She had maybe 90 seconds before the situation stopped being recoverable by anyone. Torres, she said, and her voice was steady in a way she had never heard from herself before. I need you to listen to exactly what I'm saying and do it without question. Can you do that? A pause. Then go ahead. Whisper. She talked him through it. A specific restart sequence, unconventional, drawn from an obscure technical bulletin she had read 3 years ago during an insomniac night in the barracks when everyone else was sleeping and she was studying because studying was the only armor she had ever trusted. The procedure was not in the standard checklist. It was the kind of thing you knew only if you had gone looking for it in the dark and the quiet, only if you had spent years preparing for a moment no one believed you would ever be trusted to face. The engine caught. It did not catch cleanly. It caught the way desperate things do, coughing and surging, and then finally, mercifully, settling into a roar. Torres pulled the nose level. The jet flew. The desert passed beneath him indifferent and pale, and neither of them spoke for a long moment because some silences are too full for words. When they landed and taxied in, the operations room had already erupted. The general was at the flight line. Torres climbed down from his aircraft and walked directly to Maya, still on the tarmac, helmet under her arm, hair damp with the particular exhaustion of having been completely, silently terrified. He stopped in front of her. He was a tall man who had spent his career taking up space, and for the first time she watched him seem uncertain of how to stand. You saved my life, he said. She looked at him. She thought about every smirk, every turn back, every moment she had been made to feel like a footnote in a story she had worked harder than anyone to be part of. She thought about all the nights she had spent reading instead of sleeping, preparing for exactly this, for the one moment when being underestimated would cost someone everything. I know, she said simply, and she walked inside.